Beautiful people, welcome back to Mo's Knows. I am your host, Mose. We're going to do a quick little draft recap for you, man. It's over. We finished it. We got through the weekend. Man, as long as it took for the draft to get here, it's over that quick. 3 days, first round, rounds 2 and 3, rounds 4 through 7. Now we done. Now we here at Monday. Guys know where they're going. Those who didn't get drafted, they know where they're going, signing their UDFA contracts. So let's go in and let's get a quick little recap. I think it was overall a really good draft. I think this is like the most research that I've done. Obviously, most of the research that I've done is for the channel. In years past, I've done research just because I love the sport and just want to know who my team is picking, who are the new crop of superstars coming in. But I think this is the year where I've done the most research, and based off of everything that I've done so far, I'm planning to do even more research next year to make the content that much better for you guys. But all in all, let's hit on some hot topics real quick. Let's touch on some key moments of the weekend. One of the biggest things for me that I saw are, and I posted this on my Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, head over to Instagram, look up what.mos.knows. The link will be in the description. And follow me on my Instagram page, putting out content there as well. One of the biggest things that I noticed over the weekend is the fact that teammates were being reunited. I'm sure we've seen it before, but at the clip that it happened, you look at Jamar Chase reuniting with Joe Burrow. You look at Jaylen Waddle reuniting with Tua Tagovailoa. You look at Devontae Smith reuniting with Jalen Hurd. You look at, in the first round, the Jaguars select both Clemson fellas. They take Trevor Lawrence 1, then they get Travis Etienne later in the first round. You look at what the Patriots did. The first 4 picks, the Patriots with Bama, Oklahoma. Like, the reuniting of teammates on draft night is such a special moment, such a special thing, where you're already going into, an unfamiliar situation. Yeah, you played football all your life, but now this is the big stage. You're going to the NFL. You're going to a new city, to a new team with new teammates, and to have somebody that you're familiar with, especially on that offensive side of the ball, where somebody you've already built that chemistry with, they can help you learn the playbook a little bit faster if they've already been in the system, like Jalen Hurts. Not Jalen Hurts, because he won't be in the system. That's a new system, new coaching staff. But if you look at Tua, you look at Joe Burrow, they'll be able to help Jaylen Waddle and Jamar Chase really, really quickly, getting the knowledge of that offense under their belt. Trevor and Travis, they'll be learning the offense at the same time. But I think, the way they learned the offense and piggybacked off of each other in college, I think they'll bring that same mentality to them, to the pros. So I think that was a huge, huge, huge takeaway. Just seeing teammates just reunited. I thought that was such a big thing in the draft. Let's see, what points do I want to hit next? I think we can go right into, let's go into the picks that I got right. Let me get my little hand towel here. It's a little hot in the studio. Excuse me. All right, let's go right into some of the picks that I got right. I'm not going to count Trevor Lawrence. I'm not going to count Zach Wilson. I'm not even going to count my 49ers at 3 at Trey Lance. I had them going Lance in my mock 2.0. When I did the redo of the team-specific mock draft, if you haven't checked that series, I got that whole playlist up. You can see where I went right, where I went wrong. I had us going Justin Fields back then, so I'm not going to count those. Those are locks. Chase to the Bengals, I got right, but I'm not going to count that one. Let's go to some of the ones that weren't necessarily locks. So I did have Jaylen Waddle going to the Dolphins, albeit I didn't have it at 6. I had it at 18, but it was the right player to the right team. I had the Bears trading up for a QB in my mock 2.0. Just the wrong spot and the wrong QB. I thought Fields would have been off the board. He was not. And the Bears were able to jump up and get Justin Fields. So good for them. But I did have them trading up for the quarterback. I'm not going to count that one either because I knew Chicago was desperate. After the failed Mitchell Trubisky experiment, which I talked about before, they had to get that QB position right. So them jumping up to get a quarterback, that makes sense. Let's see. I think the team that I got the most right from the team-specific mock draft series was the Jags. I got 3 right, if you include Trevor Lawrence. The 2 other players that I got right there were Tyson Campbell and Walker Little. I knew they wanted to upgrade the offensive line. I thought there were some other positions ahead of that they would attack. So I took Walker Little in the later rounds, and that's exactly what they did. I did take Tyson Campbell in the later rounds, and they actually took him at the top of the second. Tyson Campbell has immense talent. He has the length. He has the speed. Great coverage skills. So I love that pick. And I was right there. Jets. This is one of my favorite picks. And one that I did get right. Because Robert Saleh, new head coach for the New York Jets, used to be the 49ers defensive coordinator. And seeing him for the past 4 years, I know what he likes. I know what he looks for. I know what he had when he was defensive coordinator or defensive assistant in Seattle and in Jacksonville. And I know the type of players that he likes. So for the Jets to take Hamza Nasirildeen in the later rounds, as soon as I saw his name come across the board, I knew it was a great fit for Saleh's defense. That was just an amazing pick. Saleh's going to utilize the heck out of that kid as a safety. In coverage, he's going to be man-to-man on tight ends. He's going to have him in the box. He's going to play a hybrid linebacker safety role. They're going to move him all around that defense. I thought that was a great pick for them. Let's see. Another big one. Chiefs to Nick Bolton. I had to be petty. I had to be petty and call out a Chiefs fan because in my team-specific mock draft, in that first, second round pick, I said the Chiefs want to focus on the linebacker position. And I mocked Nick Bolton to them. And he was like, we're not going to draft Nick Bolton. We don't need linebacker. I tried to tell him. And he was like, no, that's not going to happen. And then when they drafted him, I went back. I went right to the comments. I was like, Nick Bolton to the Chiefs, that number 2 pick. And he was gracious. He was like, oh, you were right. Mose knows. I got to eat crow. So I was happy about that one. Got a little bragging rights with that pick. So that was cool. Nick Bolton to the Chiefs. They definitely needed to beef up their linebacker core. I believe their front four, their defensive line is set. I believe their secondary is in a good position. The weakest position group was that linebacker core. And they got Nick Bolton. So good for the Chiefs. Another pick that I got right, the Ravens taking Dalen Hayes out of Notre Dame. I know they lost multiple edge rushers. So in the first round, they selected Jason Owe with their second first-round pick that they got from the Chiefs. And I knew somewhere later on in the draft they would go to that well again. They would want to get another pass rusher to keep that rotation up to par, keep those legs fresh. And they definitely did that with a guy like Dalen Hayes. I thought he fit their system very well. And they selected him in the later round. So that was good. Myself, I had to eat crow. In the Raiders team-specific mock draft, I did get one pick right. I did think that Tyree Gillespie fit their system. So I selected Tyree Gillespie to go to the Raiders there. And they did select Tyree Gillespie. So that's great. But in the team-specific mock draft, I had their first 2 picks being offensive line, tackle, guard. Now, they did go tackle with their first pick 17. They did not go with another offensive lineman with their second pick. Actually, their second pick, Trayvon Merrick from TCU, fell out of the first round. I think that was an excellent pick. You know, for him to fall out of the first round, I thought he was the best safety in the class. For him to fall out of the first round and fall to the Raiders, that was they could not take him. And there was a Raiders fan who said safety is a big need. We're definitely going to go safety. And they actually didn't go safety twice. They went safety 3 times. They got Trayvon Merrick, they got Divine Diablo from Virginia Tech, and they got Tyree Gillespie. So they definitely wanted to make some changes to that secondary. And they did that. So I had to eat crow. I just like I went to the Chiefs fan, I went to the Raiders fan. I was like, yo, you were absolutely right, bro. And I used to say that in the beginning of my earlier videos. The channel is called Mo's Knows, but I don't know everything. And that's where you guys come in. I love to hear your opinions. I love to hear your insight about your team, because sometimes you may know better than I do. I thought they really wanted to beef up that offensive line. I mean, you lose Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson, and Trent Brown. Albeit I understand why they had to let those guys go, because their cap situation was atrocious. But I figured you want to replace those guys with younger, cheaper options. But I think they saw defense in that secondary as a bigger need, particularly with the division that they're in. So that's understandable. Najee Harris to the Steelers. I believe that was in the team-specific mock draft series, the Steelers episode. I think he fits their offense perfectly. The style of runner that he is, the versatility that he provides. I think that's a great pick. And then another pick that I got right from the team-specific mock draft series, and I'm just happy for, because I'm happy for the kid. I talked about him in the mock draft 2.0 falling out of the first round, just based off of all of the reports that were coming out. But I said it would suck for the kid if that happened, and it did not. The Tennessee Titans, they took a chance on Caleb Farley, hoping that his injury isn't as bad as it seems, that he's able to recover 100% and he can still play the game the way he plays the game. I'm happy for the kid. He's a genuine kid. If you understand, why players opted out, and if you listen to his reasoning, it was an unselfish reason. It was family oriented. And the work that I've seen him put in, just through Instagram, I don't know him personally. I haven't been to any of his workouts, but just seeing the work that he's been putting in, during his time opting out, and getting ready for the draft, and knowing the type of person he is based off of interviews that I've, heard him speak. I'm really, really happy for Caleb Farley that he did not fall out of the first round, and he was a first round pick. So those are some of the picks that I got right. All in all, you're not going to get every pick right. You're not going to get a good amount of these picks right. Just for my sanity, I went and checked out, Bucky Brooks, who I respect a lot. Lance Zierlein. Who's the other guy? Peter Schrager. And Daniel Jeremiah. I checked out all of their mock drafts, specifically their first round, to see how my first round stacked up to their first round. And we all got around 8 or 9 correct in the first round. There were a lot of guys who we slated in the first round that fell out of the first round. There were guys who there was one guy who not one of us had going in the first round, but he was selected in the first round. And we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. So, with these mock drafts, you're never going to be 100% because you absolutely have no idea what these teams are going to do or want to do. And then the teams ahead of him, whoever they draft, might throw their plans off. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. But all in all, I think I did pretty well. Now let's get into some of the overall team drafts that I like. We did the team specific mock draft series. So let's get into some drafts that I liked. Starting on the NFC side, we're going to go with the Arizona Cardinals. I really, really liked their draft. I love what they did, man. Give me a second. Let me pull it up here. In their first round pick, they take Zaven Collins, adding to their linebacker group. Now you put an athletic Zaven Collins next to an athletic Isaiah Simmons. In the second round pick, they get Rondale Moore. And I'm like, how many more weapons does this team need? First, you got D-Hop. Then you add AJ Green. You got Christian Kirk. You got Andy Isabella. And now you add 4-2 Rondale Moore to that offense. Like, come on, bro. Y'all don't need all of this. Then they attack the defense. Marco Wilson out of Florida in the 4th round. They add somebody to their defensive line rotation and Victor Dimukeji out of Duke. Great pick. They add another corner, Tay Gowan, who was one of my favorite in the class. They get him in the 6th round. Then after that, they add another safety in James Wiggins out of Cincinnati. And then they beef up the offensive line by getting Michael Manet, center out of Penn State. I'm like, come on, man. Their draft was absolutely ridiculous. I love their draft. I love what they did. They're a division rival, but hey, respect is due here. They did their thing. They scouted properly. They let the board fall how it fell. And they made a couple trades to move up and down the draft, I believe. I think 136 in round 4 was through a trade. It was originally Kansas City's, and then they got it from Baltimore. And then 210 was from Baltimore. So it looks like that was the trade that they made, getting those 2 picks so Baltimore can move up or something like that. So I was really I wasn't happy about the draft because I got to face these dudes twice a year. But my unbiased opinion from most knows this is a really good draft. Next team on the list, we have the Carolina Panthers. Bruh. I honestly thought that they were gonna, with their 1st round pick, I thought they wanted to protect Sam Darnold. And we'll get to them attacking that. But they went to some other areas of weakness. I had no idea J.C. Horn was on their radar. There were some rumblings, but I thought that there were other people that may have been rated higher than him on their board, particularly Rashawn Slater. They wanted to get an offensive lineman to protect Sam Darnold. But them taking J.C. Horn at 8, I thought was an amazing pick. They beef up that secondary. In the 2nd round, they add another wide receiver. I didn't think they needed one, but now they're 3 deep. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and now Terrace Marshall Jr. What? Then they get the offensive lineman, Brady Christensen. I think he can be a day 1 starter, even though he was a 3rd round pick on that offensive line to help protect Sam Darnold. In the 4th round, they get my favorite running back in the draft, Chuba Hubbard. And he is backing up Christian McCaffrey. So you got Christian McCaffrey. And then when he's on the sideline, you got to deal with Chuba Hubbard too. Wow. Then in the 5th round, this one shocked me. I thought Davion was either 1 or 2 as far as defensive tackles in this class. I think the 1 or 2 spot was between him and Christian Barmore. And I did not see him fall into the 5th round, but he fell to the 5th round. And now you stick Davion Nixon next to Derek Brown. What? Yo, that defensive tackle spot is solid for the next 8 to 10 years. Legitimately. With Derek Brown and Davion Nixon, those 2 dudes are going to be a problem. Then they add another corner in Keith Taylor out of Washington. I like that pick. Then they add one of the best guards in the class. I know, his weight and his movement skills, is kind of the reason for why he fell. But Deontay Brown out of Alabama was a solid guard when he was in college. He's going to be a solid guard in the NFL. He's not going to wow you with athleticism, but he's a big, powerful man, and he's going to maul you. He is going to crush you like a bug if he gets his hands on you and he gets proper footwork and placement. And he's going to get coached up in the league. So I don't see a problem there. They add to that offensive line. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 picks in, and I like everybody here. Then in the 6th round, they take Shi Smith out of South Carolina. Now they're 4 wide receivers deep. I like Shi Smith. He's not a starter. He's not a number 1 or a number 2. But if you go into those 3 or 4 wide receiver sets, want to put somebody in the slot, movement, motion with the wide receivers, create mismatches. I love that pick of Shi Smith. I love the Thomas Fletcher pick just for how it was announced. Head coach calls him up and says, so you coming or what? And Thomas is thinking that he's not going to get drafted. He thinks that he's going to be a UDFA. UDFA, for those who don't know, is undrafted free agent. So him and his agent are discussing any UDFA offers that come in and which one he's going to select. And Matt Rule like, you coming or what? He's like, you know, we're trying to figure that out now. He was like, no, bro, I just drafted you. Are you coming or what? And Thomas goes, no way, bro. He like completely blows his mind. He thinks he's asking him about UDFA status when he actually turned his name in to be drafted in the 6th round pick 222. That was an awesome moment for the Panthers. Awesome moment for Matt Rule. Awesome moment for Thomas Fletcher. I love that pick just because of that. Phil Hoskins, defensive tackle. He's just a depth rotation piece. He'll probably make the practice squad. But other than that, you know, the Carolina Panthers draft was absolutely phenomenal. Not even going to hold you. This one hurts. But again, I got to show love and I got to give props where props is due. The Dallas Cowboys. Let's talk about the Cowboys. Their weakness last year, everybody knows, was defense. They had Dak, they had Zeke, they had CD, they had Amari Cooper, they had Michael Gallup. The offense was fine. The offensive line got a little bit banged up, but the offense was good. It was putting up points, but they couldn't stop anybody. Dallas said, all right, their first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks were all defense. 8 picks total on defense. They trade with Philly, which I think was absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. They trade with Philly despite the Giants. What is going on in the NFC East? All of y'all are petty. All of y'all are petty. But they trade with Philly despite the Giants, fall back to 12 and still get Micah Parsons. Wow. 2nd round pick, they get Kelvin Joseph. They needed to upgrade corner. Love it. 3rd round pick, they added defensive tackle, Osa Odigizua out of UCLA. Love it. Another 3rd round pick, they get Chauncey Golston, defensive end out of Iowa. Add to the rotational pass rush. Love it. 3rd round pick, they get Nashawn Wright, corner out of Oregon State. Love it. Now, Nashawn he was like, I consider myself a more athletic Richard Sherman. Ryan Clark had some things to say about that. They were like, pump your brakes, young fella. You talking about a future Hall of Famer, all pro, best to ever do it. You calling yourself a more athletic version of him? Chill out. Sherman didn't take much offense to it. Sherman understands the dog mentality. Sherman said, I like the competitiveness in the young kid. But either way, he got to back that statement up now. And then in the 4th round, 115, I didn't expect him to fall this far either. But you get Jabril Cox out of LSU. Dog, that linebacker core now is Michael Parsons, Jalen Smith, and Jabril Cox. I love that linebacking group. That linebacking group is crazy athletic. They'll be able to stop the run. They'll be able to drop into coverage as well. So there's no deficiencies in that group. Listen, Dallas did what I didn't think they would do. They drafted intelligently. They said this was our weakest area. Let's focus on that this time. Kudos to Jerry Jones. Kudos to the whole staff over there. You did your thing. I love the Simi Fehoko pick. Big body wide receiver. Don't really have a tight end that you can go to. And you can use him in the red zone and on 3rd down when you need a big possession catch. 6'4", 225 pounds, runs a 4.3. Love that pick. Israel Mukuamu, you get him in the 6th round. 6'4" corner. He's a 6th round pick, so he's gonna have to come in and grind. But I think if he's trained up the right way and he has the right mentality, I think he can also pay dividends on this defense. Kudos to the Cowboys. You did what you needed to do, focused on an area of need, and really focused on it. Not just 1 or 2 picks. Your first 6, 7 picks, all defense. I love it. Next team, we're going to stay in the NFC East. As petty as they are, I actually like what the Giants did. Now, everybody thought the Kadarius Toney pick was a head scratcher. Everybody thought that. You know, you were at 11. Dallas, spited you. Eagles jumped up to get Devontae Smith. I think that was where they wanted to go. So they was like, well, I don't think we can take Toney here at 11. So let's move back. The Bears were, like I said, they were a little antsy, a little desperate to move up, get a quarterback. They got some extra picks. They fall back, they get Kadarius Toney. Now, Kadarius Toney was getting some 1st round grades He was in some people's mocks as a first-round draft pick. So I don't think it was a reach there. Yes, they added Kenny Golladay. Yes, they added John Ross. But John Ross has had injury history and hasn't lived up, to his draft status. Sterling Shepard has had injury history. Steve Slayton has had injury history. Evan Ingram had a case of the drops last year. Hopefully all those guys can turn it around. But in the event that they're doing the same things that they were doing last year, you get another option in Kadarius Toney that you can throw to. I think everything made sense and it all came together. I also think they got lucky, but Azeez Ojulari fell out of the first round and fell to them in the second round. I think that's a huge pickup for them. They needed help in that 3-4 defense that they play at the outside linebacker position, specifically somebody else who can rush the passer outside of Williams. And they get that in a guy like Azeez Ojulari. I thought that was a great pick in the second round. They add another solid corner in Aaron Robinson, who was also getting first round grades. He falls all the way to the third round and they pick him up. Ellerson Smith, linebacker out of Northern Iowa. I think that was a great pick in the fourth round. He brings versatility and athleticism to that linebacking group. Gary Brightwell, running back out of Arizona. I think he's just a depth piece. And they took my man Rodarius Williams, corner out of Oklahoma State, with pick 201 in the sixth round. A lot of people, especially on the Chiefs post, was giving me hella crap, hella junk about mocking Rodarius Williams to them at corner. They were like, not Rodarius Williams. I'm not taking Rodarius Williams. A lot of people were saying like Shakur Brown or something like that. Rodarius Williams got picked in 6. Shakur Brown went undrafted. So I'm gonna just throw that out there. But yeah, so those are some of the drafts that I liked in the NFC. Some honorable mention. I love that the Bears were able to trade up to get Justin Fields. And then I mocked Tevin Jenkins to them in the first round at pick 20. They obviously didn't get him with the trade up, but Tevin Jenkins fell to the second round and they were able to pick him up there. So I think they got a tackle and they got the quarterback. So I love their picks. The Vikings, I love what they did. They were able to get Christian Darrisaw for that offensive line. They were able to get Kellen Mond as a backup future quarterback for them. Washington football team, I love the Jamin Davis selection. I mocked Sam Cosmi to them. They didn't get him in the first round, but they were able to get him in the second round. So those are some of my honorable mentions for the NFC. Moving over to the AFC teams that I liked. Let's go to team 1, which is the Miami Dolphins. Let's take a look. Come on. All right. Miami Dolphins. We kind of talked about this a little bit. First round, they take both Jaylens. Jaylen Waddle out of Alabama, add to their wide receiver group. Love it. With pick 18, they take Jalen Phillips. They needed help on that defensive line, needed help with pass rush. So I think that's a great pick. I think he's going to make a huge impact from day one with the pass rush. Then they add a guy like Javon Holland out of Oregon. He's a safety. He can play in the nickel. I think they're going to use him all over the field. I think Brian Flores is going to have fun scheming up the defense around Jalen Phillips and Javon Holland. Then they add help on the offensive line with their second round pick by adding Liam Eichenberg. I think that's a great pick. You can either have him play left tackle and slide Austin Jackson to the right side, or keep Austin on the left and plug Eichenberg into the right side. Good. They already had a tight end in Mike Gesicki, but they add another tight end and Hunter Long out of Boston College. Hunter Long is not going to wow you with speed and athleticism, but he's a great blocker. He's high IQ. He has strong hands. He gives you another option as far as a red zone target. And I think they want to run the ball a little bit more. And I think they want to have more 2 tight end sets out on the field. So he adds a big benefit in that area. I love what the Dolphins were able to do with their draft. Next team on the board is the New York Jets. Obviously, they needed to get a quarterback to replace Sam Darnold. They do that with Zach Wilson. I think that was an amazing pick. They trade up with Minnesota to get to 13 and select Elijah Vera Tucker. I think they put him on that offensive line next to Mekhi Becton, and oh my goodness, that left side of that line with Mekhi Becton and Elijah Vera Tucker, or they might even try to put Elijah Vera Tucker at right tackle. He has that flexibility. Awesome picks on day one. Then you get to day two, round two, they take wide receiver Elijah Moore. And now you got your speedy slot guy who can cause mismatches over the middle of the field to help out Zach Wilson. I love that. They add a running back in Michael Carter out of North Carolina. I think he fits what they want to do offensively. You're going to see a lot of the Kyle Shanahan, San Francisco 49er concepts in the running game. I think Michael Carter fits, that mold. I think he could have been drafted by the 49ers if we wanted to go that way. Obviously, our philosophy was a little bit different this year, but I think he fits. Jamin Sherwood, safety out of Auburn, I think he's going to come in and do well in that defense. And then I talked about Hamza Nasirladeen, the safety that they selected. I think he fits this defense so well. I think Robert Saleh was ecstatic to get him, and I can't wait to see how Rob uses him in that defense. Next team on the list is the Baltimore Ravens. What a draft for the Ravens. It's never good when you give up your starting Pro Bowl caliber right tackle, but they traded him to acquire another first-round pick. With their first-round pick, they make sure that they get another option at the wide receiver group so that there are no excuses from that receiver room. Taking Rashad Bateman. With the second first-round pick, they get that outside linebacker, that edge rusher, and Jason Owe from Penn State. They beef up that offensive line with big, burly Ben Cleveland from Georgia. What did he put up? 44, 45 reps of 225 at his pro day. That's a strong man. He's going to maul you. He fits what they want to do on that offensive line. I love the Tyron Wallace pick. Again, another wide receiver. They're making sure that Lamar Jackson has enough weapons on the outside. They know the running game is good with the backs that they have with Lamar Jackson. They're good at tight end with Mark Andrews. They wanted to make sure that the wide receiver group was solid. Rashad Bateman and Tyron Wallace definitely add some competition to that room. I love the Shaun Wade pick. He did fall all the way to the 5th round, but I think he can come in and be a perfect slot option for them. With Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters on the outsides, you put Shaun Wade in the slot. He was projected to be a slot anyway. He was best in the slot at Ohio State. He got a little shaky when they moved him to the outside, but now he can play in the slot. He doesn't have to worry about playing outside, and I think they're going to get the best out of him there. I talked about the Dalen Hayes pick. They added another defensive end outside linebacker to help the pass rush. So I think that was perfect for them. Moving on, I love what the Denver Broncos did. Let me go to their tab. Where they at? Here we go. I love what the Denver Broncos did. Patrick Surtain II, they needed to upgrade the cornerback position. They do that. They get Javonte Williams. Now they add another running back to that group, and they can keep, running the ball effectively. They lost Phillip Lindsay, but you replace him with Javonte Williams. I think that's a great pick. Adding Quinn Miners in the 3rd round, I think is awesome. He can play center. He can play guard. I think he's going to bring a toughness and a nastiness to that offensive line that they need. 3 straight picks on defense. Baron Browning, I think he's going to play in that inside linebacker role in that 3-4 that they play. I think that's a great pick. Athletic linebacker, sideline to sideline. Doesn't offer you that much as far as in the pass game, but I think what he does in helping stop the run, I think is much needed for that team. They add Caden Stern, safety out of Texas. It's been mocked that he would fall to the 4th, 5th, or 6th round, but I think he landed in a good situation with the Denver Broncos. He has a possibility to start opposite Justin Simmons, so I really like that pick. They get another safety, Jamar Johnson out of Indiana, He can come in and compete. Obviously, there's only one starting position opposite Justin Simmons. But if they want to utilize more safeties in that hybrid linebacker role and just have more bodies on special teams, I think that was a great pick. They already have good wide receivers in Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. But then you add a big body guy like Seth Williams. I think Sutton, Seth Williams, and Noah Fant will be their red zone targets, those big body guys who can box out smaller defenders and come down with those 50-50 balls. I love the Kerry Vincent Jr. selection. Adding him to the secondary is awesome. I love the Jonathan Cooper selection, adding him at defensive end. The Broncos had a really solid draft. I like what they did. Some honorable mention. The Cleveland Browns, man. Listen, the Cleveland Browns have no excuse. They put it all together. They made it to the playoffs. They got a playoff win. And now I think they got better. Greg Newsome II at corner, opposite Denzel Ward. Love it. I thought they needed to attack the linebacker position. I was talking to Cleveland Browns fans. There was one Cleveland Browns fan who was like, why don't you like Taki? He's the best linebacker they have and the only one that's worth a new contract. I said that might be so. But if you're telling me that Sione Taki is my best linebacker going into the season, then I'm going to tell you I need to upgrade that linebacker position. There's no disrespect to Sione Taki. But if he's your best linebacker, then you need to upgrade the position. And what did they do? They drafted 2 linebackers. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah fell to them in the second round. A lot of people had him mocked to go in the first round because of his versatility. Linebacker, safety, hybrid. He can do it all. He fell to the second round. The Browns picked him up. He adds another dimension to this defense that's absolutely amazing. They got wide receivers out the wazoo, but you add another 4-2 guy who gives you speed, who can take the top off the defense. They add a swing tackle in James Hudson, so they have the backup in case somebody goes down. They add Tommy Togiai to that defense, and he can be in that defensive line rotation, especially at defensive tackle. The other linebacker, Tony Fields from West Virginia, again, he's another coverage linebacker. He's going to give you the ability to drop into coverage. He has the speed and the athleticism to run sideline to sideline, covering backside of the backfield. So they definitely did upgrade that linebacker position, which I thought they would do. Richard LeCount, another safety. They got safeties galore, but they just added another one. I think that was a great pick in the 5th round. Then they add another receiver who offers you versatility as a receiver, but also as a running back in Demetric Felton. The Browns have no excuses. None. They have no excuses. I don't want to hear any excuses from the Cleveland Browns. Not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they should come very, very close. Next honorable mention team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love the Najee Harris selection. I love the Pat Freiermuth selection, aka Baby Gronk. That may be too early to bless him with that label, but it's already out there. It didn't come from me. That came from them. So I think he fits what they want to do stylistically. He's a traditional tight end that the Pittsburgh Steelers would roll out in their offense. So I love that pick. They attack the offensive line, which they need help. Kendrick Green, guard from Illinois, love it. Dan Moore from Texas A&M, love it. Another pick that I really, really love is Quincy Rochet, linebacker from Alabama. I think he can slide in to that outside linebacker role that Bud Dupree occupied as another pass rusher opposite TJ Watt. I think they had a really good draft. 2 more honorable mentions, and then we'll go to the drafts that I didn't like. First is the Los Angeles Chargers. Love what they did. I originally had Christian Darrisaw being selected by them because I thought Rashawn Slater would be off the board. Rashawn Slater fell to 13 and they snagged him up. You definitely want to protect Justin Herbert, and they did that with the second best tackle in the class. Absolutely love it. Second pick, right before my 49ers. That's where I thought my 49ers were going to go. I don't think we should have traded back, but we did. And right before we were on the board, at 48. The Chargers take Asante Samuel Jr. I was mad, but I think that's a great pick for them. I think he comes in right away, takes over one of those starting roles at outside corner, and he just takes off. I love the Trey McKitty pick, tight end from Georgia. I think they needed to add, a tight end there, and they did that. I love the Chris Rumpf pick, an athletic outside linebacker from Duke. He's going to play outside linebacker at Duke. He played a lot with his hand in the dirt, but he's going to be standing up, rushing from that outside linebacker position, giving them flexibility there. So I love that. The Brendan Jameis pick, offensive tackle from Nebraska. I love that. So I think they had a solid draft. And I think my last honorable mention team was the Jaguars. Again, I got 3 of these picks right, so I love it. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, you immediately change your offense with those 2 guys. They already have the familiarity with each other. I know they were happy to find out that they were, going to extend their playing time together. First in college, now in the NFL. Awesome for those 2 guys. Love the Tyson Campbell pick, mocked him there. Love the Walker Little pick, mocked him there. Love the Andre Cisco pick. I think they also needed help at safety. Andre Cisco had the injury. I believe it was Achilles, may have been ACL, but that kind of hurt his draft stock, but they were still able to get him in the 3rd round. If he's 100% healthy, he's going to make a difference in that secondary. Love the pick. Jay Tufele, defensive tackle from USC. Love that. Jordan Smith, defensive end from UAB. Love that. I think the Jaguars did an amazing job in this draft. Their first 7 picks, probably going to make contributions year 1. It'll range from a lot to a little, but it'll be a contribution nonetheless. Those were all the drafts that I liked. If you're sticking with me this far, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. I shouldn't have too much longer to go. The drafts that I liked are much longer than the drafts that I didn't like. Shouldn't have too much more to go. And then after that, we got 2 more topics, and then I'm going to get y'all out of here. All right, drafts I didn't like, NFC side. First, the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers. Now I see why Aaron Rodgers wants Brian Gutekunst fired. Now I see. I'm not coming back until Gutekunst is fired. They take Eric Stokes in the 1st round, pick 29. I understand he ran a 4.2, but I felt like you had bigger needs. Offensive line, wide receiver, bigger needs than corner. You already have a stud in Jair Alexander. You brought back Kevin King. He's not a stud, but you brought him back for a reason. He played in your system. He started for you. Sometimes he played well, sometimes he didn't. I didn't think that was a need. So yes, he runs a 4.2. Yes, he has some good cover skills. He likes to get his hands on the ball. But I felt like there were other more pressing needs above that. You come back in the 2nd round, you get center Josh Myers out of Ohio State. He had an injury. Obviously there's the injury concern, and you want to make sure that he's 100% healthy. So you did address the offensive line pick, but I think you could have done better at center with a Landon Dickerson or a Creed Humphrey, but it didn't go that way. You did get a wide receiver in the 3rd round, Amari Rodgers, but is that too little too late? Is Amari Rodgers able to step up right now and be the number 2 opposite Devontae Adams? I don't know. I see Amari Rodgers being more of a number 3, more of a slot guy, and maybe that'll work in this offense. But I do like the Royce Newman pick. You can slide him in at guard. That helps. To Daryl Slayton, not a fan of that pick. I didn't think you needed to go corner twice. So the Shamar Jean Charles pick, not a fan of that one. Cole Van Lennon is a decent pick at tackle. So, I mean, your offensive line is pretty set. You got Josh Myers, you got Royce Newman, you got Cole Van Lennon. Are all three of those guys going to start? Are your center, right guard, right tackle all going to be rookies? I don't know if that's good. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers wants to play behind 3/5 of an offensive line that's all rookies who haven't played in the NFL, who haven't played at the NFL speed, who are all new to each other, all coming from 3 different schemes, all learning a new scheme, have to build camaraderie, have to build, on communication, have to build chemistry. I don't know if Rodgers wants to play behind that at 38, 39 years old. I do like the Isaiah McDuffie pick. Shout out to Boston College. Go Eagles. But other than that, I felt like this was a really lackluster draft. Next draft I didn't like in the NFC was the Eagles. I understand why you thought you needed to trade up, because you figured the Giants were going to take Devontae Smith. So you jumped them. So, okay. Is Devontae Smith going to be a number 1? I mean, that's a question. A lot of people are saying that he will be, that his size, shouldn't matter. He's a great route runner. He has great speed. He's a natural hands catcher. So I don't mind that. I thought you could go other places with the second pick. I understand getting Landon Dickerson from Alabama. You might start him at guard, and then when Jason Kelce does retire, move him back to his natural position at center. But I felt like you could have addressed other areas of need. Not a fan of the Milton Williams pick. Not a fan of the Zach McPherson pick. I do like the Kenneth Gamewell pick. Kenneth Gamewell is a running back that I mocked to the 49ers because I think he fits what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. I'm not certain what Nick Sirianni is going to implement as far as his offense, but I think Kenneth Gamewell will be able to run that, and I'm hoping that he'll be able to thrive in that system. And then the only other pick that I liked is the Tyron Jackson pick, defensive end out of Coastal Carolina. I like him a lot. He has a nonstop motor. The kid is ruthless. He's relentless. So I think that'll be good on that Eagles defensive line. Other than that, again, I thought this was a lackluster draft. And then the draft that I probably couldn't stand the most was the Saints. Payton Turner, defensive end, Houston, they take in the first round. Why? They took Payton Turner over Greg Rousseau. And I think, Payton Turner was drafted before Greg Rousseau and before Jason Owe. Am I right in that? Hold on. Because I think I got it up on here. Let me see. Yeah. Greg Rousseau was drafted at 30. Jason Owe drafted at 31. And Joe Tryon was drafted at 32. They drafted Payton Turner above all 3 of them dudes. No way. No way, New Orleans. Like, what are you doing? Payton Turner? For real? That was a head scratcher. Similar to the Marcus Davenport draft pick. He hasn't lived up to his draft status. And you make the same mistake by going Payton Turner. Then with the second pick, you take Pete Werner. No disrespect to Pete Werner, but I think there was more athletic linebackers that you could have taken. I know Jabril Cox, in the Cowboys, he fell to the 5th, but I think you could have taken Jabril Cox there in the 2nd round. No, Jabril Cox fell to the 4th. I think you could have taken Jabril Cox there. I think Jabril Cox is a better fit for what the Saints want to do. More than Pete Werner is. So I'm like, first you get Payton Turner, then you get Pete Werner. Like, what are you doing? I like the Paulson and Debo pick. I can't be mad at that. But then in the 4th, you take Ian Book. Like, why do you want 3 quarterbacks? You don't even know what you want to do with the first 2. Are you starting Jameis or are you starting Taysom Hill? What do you need Ian Book for? I mean, if you wanted an arm in camp, sign an undrafted free agent or get somebody later. Like, that was a wasted 4th round pick on Ian Book. Like, what are you doing? Landon Young, okay, but you don't need a tackle. I mean, unless he's going to be your swing tackle, you don't need a tackle. And then Kawan Barker, wide receiver, South Alabama. The only thing that the Saints did that I really liked, which kind of made me mad because now he's with the Saints, like, this draft was horrible and now you end up with the Saints. They signed undrafted free agent Trill Williams. Y'all know I've been pounding the table for Trill Williams. He's one of my favorite corners in this class. Not sure why he went undrafted, but that's how the NFL draft works. And he signed an undrafted free agent deal with the Saints. So I'm happy for him that he will be in somebody's camp, to show what he has and what he's able to do. I believe he'll make the roster, but like, it's with the Saints. And like, all right, man, jumping over to the AFC side, 3 more teams, and then we'll get this wrapped up soon. First team, the draft that I was not hot about was the Indianapolis Colts. I like the Kwity Paye pick. After that, I don't like nothing. To go double defensive end, maybe it was a need, but I don't. Deo Odaingbo, the player is good. I just don't like the pick. I think they could have addressed another need. Kylan Grayson in the 4th, don't like that one. Sean Davis from Florida, don't like that one. Sam Ehlinger in the 6th round, doesn't move the needle for me. Mike Strahan, don't like that one. And Will Fry from Pittsburgh, don't like it. After Kwity Paye, I didn't like this draft. Not very needs addressing, not very wowing. I just was not a fan of that draft at all. Who else? Who's next? I mean, that's really all I had to say about it. Okay. Next on the list is the Oakland Raiders. I didn't like the Oakland Raiders. Sorry, babe. Mrs. Mose knows, as y'all know, is a Raiders fan. The Alex Leatherwood selection is okay. I think if you draft him at 17, you intend on him being a tackle. He can play tackle. Obviously, he played tackle at Alabama. There's questions if he has, the athleticism to play tackle in the NFL. He was projected in some schemes to be a guard. I mean, so he does offer you that flexibility, but I think they could have went another way with the tackle. Because I think if the Raiders don't take Alex Leatherwood, I think he falls into the 2nd round, just like a Tevin Jenkins, just like a Jalen Mayfield. So I think he falls out of the 1st round if the Raiders don't take him. So I think that was a reach. Good pick. Trayvon Merrick, he fell to them in the 2nd round. I thought he was the best safety in the class. Again, he could have been a 1st round pick. Didn't fall that way. He fell to the 2nd round and the Raiders snagged him up. I think that was a really, really good pick. I do like Malcolm Kuntz out of Buffalo. I do think that might have been a little bit of a reach. He probably could have got him in the 4th round. But I think he helps them at the outside linebacker position. So that's cool. You already got Trayvon Merrick. In the 3rd round, you go Divine Diablo, safety out of Virginia Tech. But then in the 4th round, you go another safety. And you already have Jonathan Abram. Unless you're moving on from him or you're dropping him down to linebacker, which could be a possibility, but I don't see. Maybe Divine Diablo plays a hybrid safety linebacker role. 2 safeties is okay. Just like the Raiders fan who commented on the video. 2 safeties is fine. A 3rd safety, I don't know if I would have went with 3 safeties. I think you could address another position. Don't like the Nate Hobbs corner out of Illinois in the 5th round. Didn't have a 6th round pick. And then in the 7th round, they take center Jimmy Morrissey. I like the pick as a late round pick. Is he going to come in and start right away at center? Maybe, maybe not. Is he going to be good right away? I don't know. So I wasn't really a fan of this draft. I like the Trayvon Merrick pick. I like Malcolm Kuntz. but I think they could address other needs. And the last draft that I was not a fan of was the Texans. Obviously, they didn't have enough picks. They only had 5 total picks in the draft. Didn't have a first, didn't have a second, didn't have a fourth, didn't have a 7th. I think they should have cut bait with Deshaun Watson, traded him to acquire some more capital for this draft. They held on to him and didn't make the trade and didn't get anything for him. And now all of this legal issues are coming up. And you're talking about he probably won't play this year and you didn't get anything for him. And so, you draft a quarterback because you're going to need one. You take Davis Mills in the 3rd round. You didn't have an option to get anybody ahead of that because you didn't have any picks. Also in the 3rd round, you get Nico Collins, wide receiver. I think you could have focused on offensive line, maybe a better running back. But they do need help at the wide receiver position. No more DeAndre Hopkins, no more Will Fuller. So I can understand the Nico Collins pick. I'm cool with the Brevin Jordan pick, athletic tight end who offers you speed, versatility, strong hands. So I really like the Brevin Jordan pick in the 5th round. He fell to them there. Garrett Wallow, that's a decent pick. Not a fan of the Roy Lopez 6th round pick. So again, this draft didn't move the needle. Houston is in a bad spot. This is not the draft that was going to help them get out of that spot, especially after not trading Deshaun Watson. So that was pretty lackluster there for me. And that's going to do it for the drafts that I liked and the drafts that I didn't like. You let me know the drafts that you liked. If you disagree with my assessment for your team, shout it down in the comments below. Let me know how you're feeling about your draft. If you agree and you didn't like your team's draft and you're pissed off, I want to hear about that too. Sound off. Use the comment section to vent. Try to keep, curse words to a minimum, just in case we have any young viewers. Try to keep it respectful, but vent your frustrations. Let them out. If you didn't like your draft for your team, talk about it in the comment section below. Let's get to it. All right, 2 more topics and then we're out of here for the night. I have 5 rookies that I think will make a big impact day 1. I'm going to go through those. So right off the bat, first rookie that I think is going to make a big impact day 1 is going to be Penei Sewell to the Detroit Lions. When you think of the Lions, the only things that come to mind are Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, and Matthew Stafford as of late. I don't think they have a history of nastiness. They have a history of toughness. When I did the Lions team specific mock draft video, I was asking the fans about, that crazy press conference from new head coach Dan Campbell, but everybody said, they love the energy. They love his intensity. They think Dan Campbell is going to be a really good head coach and he's going to change the culture in Detroit. And I think he did that right off the bat with his first pick. You get a nasty, athletic mauler who will punch you in the mouth in Penei Sewell. So you have a head coach that's going to change the culture. And then you start to bring in players that fit what that head coach wants to do. Tough, gritty, nasty. And I think Penei Sewell is that. So I think he can come in day 1 and have a huge impact on that offensive line. One guy isn't going to make the line the best in the league, but I think, the other guys on the line are going to start to feed off of this young guy, his toughness, his grit, his nastiness. And I think he's going to make a big impact. Najee Harris for the Steelers. We talked about him earlier. I think he fits exactly what the Steelers want to do with the offense. He's a prototypical Pittsburgh Steeler running back. He's going to ground and pound. He's going to wear down that defensive front 7. He's great in pass protection. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I think he's going to be miles and miles and miles ahead of what James Conner was able to do in that offense. No offense to James Conner, but if you think about the receivers that they have, you add this running back into that equation, and with Pat Freiermuth now at tight end, listen here. Pittsburgh offense is set. Pittsburgh going to be a problem. Trey Sermon for the 49ers. We drafted him in the 3rd round, traded up with the Rams to move up to pick 88 to get Trey Sermon. Yes, we have Raheem Mostert already in the building, but I think Kyle wanted some stability at the running back position. He wanted a little bit more power. He wanted a bigger back. Trey Sermon is 6'1", 215. So he's got the size. So now we can run that inside zone with Sermon and wear down the defensive front seven. And when them dudes get tired, then we can come in with Mostert and hit you with that outside zone. And you couldn't catch them when you had your breath. You couldn't catch them when you were rested. Now you're going to catch 4.2 speed after you've been pounded on all day by Trey Sermon. I think it allows our offense to be multiple. So I think he helps impact that offense. Even if Trey Lance is the quarterback day one, if we move on from Jimmy or Jimmy gets hurt and Trey Lance has to start, well, we can help bring him along where he doesn't have to throw the ball 30, 40, 50 times a game. We have a running game now that we can rely on even more than we did in the past years, with guys staying healthy. And we can beat you up inside. We can burn you on the outside. And then Trey Lance can run the ball too. So I think that's a decent pick for us. Will make a big impact day one. Elijah Moore from the Jets, talked about him earlier. I think he comes in and adds so much versatility at that wide receiver position. You sign Corey Davis from the Titans. He's going to be your wide receiver number one. But I think Elijah Moore is going to have the flexibility to move all around that offense. You can use him in the slot. You can use him outside. You can use him, on jet sweeps and things of that nature. You can line him up in the backfield. He's going to motion all over the place. He might even offer you help in, special teams, kick return, punt return. So Elijah Moore is going to help turn that offense around in New York. The last rookie with the biggest impact day one, talked about him earlier too for the Browns, JOK, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I think he adds another element to that Browns defense. They already have the pass rush. You had to worry about Myles Garrett. Now you got to worry about Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. They got the secondary. They added Newsome to Denzel Ward. They got the safeties in the back end, Grant Delpit, Ronnie Harrison. They brought over John Johnson. So all they needed was a linebacker. Now you add a linebacker like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah who can play in the middle, who can play outside, who can rush the quarterback, who can run sideline to sideline, who can drop into coverage. He's going to be that joker in that defense. His name starts with JOK. He's going to be that joker in that defense that moves all around. You're going to see him lined up at linebacker. You're going to see him on the line, blitzing off the edge. You're going to see him lined up in the slot over a wide receiver or a tight end. You're going to see him lined up at safety sometimes. He's going to be all over the field, I believe. And I think he's also going to make a immediate day one impact. Those are my 5 guys there. And then my last and final topic are my best undrafted free agents, the UDFAs that I talked about earlier. Number 1, David Moore from Carolina, offensive guard out of Grambling State. I think he can come in and he can battle for one of those starting guard spots and add to the ability for this Carolina offensive line to protect Sam Darnold. They wanted to do that. They needed to do that. They drafted Brady Christensen to slide him in the tackle. And I think David Moore can come in and compete for one of those guard spots. Trill Williams, talked about him from the Saints. I don't need to talk about him anymore. Y'all know he's one of my favorite corners in the draft. And I think he goes to a really good defense, really good secondary in the Saints. Charles Snowden, drafted by the Bears. 6'7" outside linebacker. I think he's going to play standing up, but he does have the versatility if you need him to put his hand in the dirt. And I think he's going to a great place where he can learn how to be a productive pass rusher from a guy like Khalil Mack. So I think that's an awesome situation for him. And I think he can, do some good things in Chicago. The Browns, listen, the rich get richer. They signed Marvin Wilson, defensive tackle out of Florida. You already drafted Tommy Togiai. Now you add a guy like Marvin Wilson. I think he's going to come in and he's going to, make a name for himself on the defensive line to make sure that he's a part of that rotation to keep those legs fresh. So I think that's huge benefit for the Browns in that defensive line. And lastly, Kenny Yeboa, tight end, was signed by the New York Jets. The Jets are doing everything they can to make sure that Zach Wilson has the weapons that he needs. They're building the offensive line in front of him. They got, the wide receivers for him. And now you give him an athletic tight end who can, go up and catch the ball at its highest point. He's going to win those 50-50 balls. He's going to offer you a big body in the red zone. I think Kenny Yeboa, as an undrafted free agent, he can probably come in and win the starting job for the Jets. Maybe not, as a UDFA, but I think he has the physical skill set to do it. Can he learn this offense? Can he pass protect? Can he run block? Can he do all the right things in order to gain a starting spot, or at least some playing time during the regular season? But I like those 5 guys as, some of the best undrafted free agents. That's going to do it, man. That's going to wrap up my draft recap. It was a great weekend. So much fun. If you tuned in with me for my night 1 live stream for the first round, thanks so much. I appreciate that. Shout out to 2 other channels and content creators. Shout out to my man Wayne Breezy over at Nitty Gritty Niners. He had me come in and rock out with NGN for night 2 of the draft. So I was on with the Nitty Gritty Niners crew, rocking out in their live stream. Shout out to my man Nick Cork of the UK's very own. Yes, I said it. Our UK brothers and sisters love football too. Shout out to the UK's very own Shant Club NFL. Shout out to Nick for inviting me on. I spent a couple hours with him Saturday morning before the start of round 4 in his live stream. So thank you so much for the invitation. I appreciate it. Rocking out with those 2 content creators, talking some more ball. I got some other things that's in the works. We've got draft grades coming out in a production that I'm doing in collaboration with Fantasy Holics. We'll have 8 guys breaking down each division and giving draft grades for the teams in those divisions. 4 teams NFC, 4 teams AFC. We'll have 8 guys on the live stream. That'll be our panel. Each guy will go and give his assessment of the draft and give grades, and we'll talk about it in a roundtable discussion. I think that'll be an awesome series. I don't know if I want to do all 8 at one time, or if I want to do NFC in one video and AFC in another video. We'll work out all those logistics. And then myself, I will be doing grades for all 32 teams. I'll be breaking it up by division as well. So you'll get 8 videos across the span of about 4 weeks. That's 2 videos a week of draft grades for each division in the NFL. So 1 week we'll do AFC North, NFC North. Next week we'll do AFC South, NFC South, and so on and so forth to give you draft grades. And then from that point, we'll be moving on into off season. Any other free agents that might be signed, getting ready for camp, talking about some position battles. Once we see, the final 90-man rosters and who's going to be going into camp, what positions do we want to keep our eyes on? What battles are up for grabs? What young guy could be coming in and taking a veteran spot? We'll talk all of that here at Mo's Knows. So thank you so much. I appreciate you taking your time. Anytime you watch a video here on this channel, I appreciate you. Thank you so very much. Again, links to all my other social medias are in the description. If you like this video, hit a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. Do 2 things for me. 1, hit that subscribe button. It only takes you 2 seconds. Then take another 2 seconds and hit that bell icon so that you get notified every time new content drop here at Mo's Knows. We got a lot of stuff lined up for you, so you don't want to miss any of it. Again, I appreciate you. I love y'all so much. Thank you for rocking with your boy Mo's, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.